I'm sitting here in my happy place in beautiful Ambleside Beach, near the water as always, having just watched King Charles's throne speech in Ottawa and thinking about the impact of that and the meaning of that for Canada. Obviously the throne speech provides a blueprint and a go-forward plan for the government's agenda, for Mark Carney's agenda going forward. And what struck me about it are a number of things. First of all, that the contents of the speech, what was said, is completely consistent with the platform that Mark Carney ran on during the election campaign. It's consistent with the 7 objectives outlined in his mandate letter, and it's consistent with what he's told Canadians he is going to do for us. The speech started out with an Indigenous land acknowledgement, which would never have happened years ago. I'm not an Indigenous person, but I was fortunate enough to learn a lot about Indigenous culture and history when I was younger, partially through school, partially through work that my family did, and just through my own learnings. I didn't realize until the Kamloops unmarked graves discovery that it had actually gone that far, and that basically for me that relegated Canada's history to any other shithole country that abuses and murders and genocides its own people. And so we've moved on from that, or we're trying to move on from that. So all of the Indigenous truth and reconciliation efforts are extremely important for Canada and for me personally as a non-Indigenous person who was born in this country. The throne speech had interwoven in it frequent references to reconciliation efforts, to the duty to consult with Indigenous peoples, to bring them into decision-making processes on national and local projects, and provided commitments to additional funding for Indigenous business. The speech focused on Canada's sovereignty, our independence as a country, our need to build our economy from within quickly. The speech stressed that an economy is only good if it benefits its people, which has been a theme of Mark Carney's for, I think, his entire career. The King spoke about the continuation of social programs in this country, the child benefit, pharmacare, the expansion of the dental care program, again, in complete contradiction to what I've been hearing from critics saying that he's going to get rid of these programs. He spoke about the need to have immigration at more balanced levels, bringing it down to 2%, I believe, by 2027, and bringing the best and the brightest people into Canada, as well as Canadians who are working or studying abroad. He welcomed them back to Canada if they'd like to come back here because of the opportunities. He spoke about that he will be introducing, the Prime Minister will be introducing legislation to have one trade economy in Canada, not 13, and that should happen shortly, and that we're going to build infrastructure quicker than anything we've seen since World War II. He promised environmental protections, talked about our nature in Canada and how important it is to this generation, to all of us, and also to future generations. Future generations were referenced several times during the speech, which, again, I don't have children, but it's so important that we preserve what we have and grow it for the next generations that come after us. So overall, he also spoke about our relationship with the United States, and that has changed, and that Canada will adapt to that and work with that. He spoke about joining the Europe. So I'm just looking at my notes here, because I did make notes. That's me, geek out here. The Europe plan, and that we're going to invest, strengthen, and boost our resources and military resources in the north of Canada. He also spoke about increasing the numbers of RCMP and CBSA officers to again, stop the flow of fentanyl and other drugs, other illegal products into the United States. That plays nicely into Trump's stated goals. He spoke about reforming bail for making it harder to get for people who are involved in crimes, which is important given what's going on. He spoke about reforming, I believe, handgun laws, so I don't know if that will make them stricter. I think they're pretty strict already, but and also that people who were involved in domestic assaults would never get, or who were convicted of that, would never get a permit to carry a gun, which is good, given what happens to women when they leave these abusers. He also spoke about the importance of Canadian culture, our multiculturalism, Quebec culture, Indigenous cultures, and promised to preserve the CBC and Radio-Canada, and also talked about keeping our food and our water supplies safe and clean. Again, when you see what's happening in the United States with the elimination of their food inspection, food safety protocols, and the effect of that on the safety of the food and water, this is an important initiative for Canada. He promised to protect our parks and to increase the number of parks, as well as urban parks, which is a great initiative given our cities. And again, interwoven in this speech is the commitment to Indigenous rights, to Indigenous truth and reconciliation, to economic development, to consultation, to participation. I am not a royal watcher. I have no interest in the royal family at all, but this was an important symbolic visit. It was definitely a power move by Carney, with all of the pomp and ceremony that went with it. Some of the commentators that I've seen say that this would have been a very important message to Trump, who apparently pays attention to this stuff, that to have the king and the queen here. So symbolically, this was important. And the king ended his speech by saying that Canada remains the true north, strong and free. So I second that. I think we all do. And so as we go forward, we're going to see the Carney government move quickly, move decisively. He is going to carry out the promises, or deliver the promises that he made during the election, and that he has given his ministers the mandate to implement. I didn't think that Poilievre was there. I did see a post that he was sitting in the back. I kind of assumed he was standing outside the Parliament building trying to scratch his way in, but he was invited. And he listened to the speech. He did say in his speech to caucus that he was willing to work with the government on certain initiatives. So he heard, again, the confirmation of what those initiatives are, and hopefully his party carries that through because of the seriousness of the times that we're in. Anyhow, I thought it was a great speech. It was great symbolism. It was clear, and I look forward to seeing how this government progresses.